Wow, this is much needed. This is Josh Friedman soaking in, literally, the week that was Bilderberg Week 2019. It is now Monday morning. The conference is complete. The participants have left town. Most of the press corps has left town. I might be the only one left for that matter. And I've got to check out of this hotel. I'm inside the sauna in my hotel right next to Lake Georgieva in this incredibly beautiful setting in Montreux. I've got to check out of here in just 2 hours, maybe less, but both literally and metaphorically, I need to soak in the experience that was Bilderberg 2019. Didn't exactly go as expected, but then again, with a conference being announced publicly just 48 hours before it starts, how could it go expected? So it was a pretty crazy week for me. I started out, as you might have seen in my vlog about getting to Bilderberg, I started out the week in London, and it probably would have made sense to stay in London and just fly out. But at that point, I didn't know where. I really had no idea where Bilderberg was going to be. My plan was to go if it was anywhere within the vicinity of Europe, and most likely to skip it if it was in North America. And I was hearing rumors about different places in and around Europe Bilderberg could be, and I decided, well, why don't I just go to Budapest and plant myself there? Because Budapest is very centrally located in Europe. It's easy to get from Budapest to all over Europe, and there are a lot of flight routes that I like, cheap flights particularly, coming in and out of Budapest. So on a whim, I booked a flight from London to Budapest, and I spent the night at the Budapest airport, for that matter, not even knowing for sure if the conference was going to be this week, now last week, but indeed it was, and I found out early the next morning, about 9 o'clock Central European time. In fact, I think it was 9 o'clock right on the dot. I was changing money. I was in a money change shop in the city center of Budapest, and then I saw the announcement that it was going to be in Montreux, Switzerland, and I moved quickly, maybe too quickly. I looked at a couple different flight possibilities, and I didn't like what I was seeing, and right away I booked the Flixbus, taking me from Budapest to Lausanne. And it was a long ride. I had to change buses in Zagreb. The entire ride ended up taking 24 hours, plus it took me another hour, maybe an hour and a half to get from, maybe even 2 hours, because I had to walk through Lausanne, take a bus, public bus a bit through Lausanne, walk through town a bit to get to the train station, then take a train along beautiful Lake Georgieva to get to Montreux. By the way, I know in French it's pronounced something like Montreux, but I'm not French. And I know I really botched the pronunciation of Lausanne earlier, but I think this is a little better. But I'm going to keep saying Montreux. I'm pretty sure that's the English version. But anyway, I got to Montreux, I would say on time. I got here very early afternoon on Wednesday, the day before Bilderberg started. The only person who was in town at that point, I believe, was Luke Rudowski, who I found asleep on the couch at our hotel. We were rooming together at this lovely hotel, by the way. It's worked out beautifully. I tried not to say too much about it in my, or even anything for that matter, in my vlogs and reports to this point, given some of you might be aware what happened to me last year in Turin. I got a visit, and that's putting it rather kindly. I got a visit from police in the middle of the night who busted through my door and pointed a gun at me while I was in bed. And Luke's had not that scenario happen to him, but he's had his hotel room swatted before, and so we didn't want to disclose too much about where we were staying. Nonetheless, this place has been fantastic, except for the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi hasn't been working so well, but we've made do. And then, interesting, last night there was a YouTube down situation, which delayed us even further in getting videos uploaded. I was hoping to get a whole bunch uploaded last night. I ended up getting 3 videos uploaded late in the night, not as much as I wanted to, but my reports, my vlogs, my videos about Bilderberg will continue to trickle out. I did a lot more this year in terms of video coverage of Bilderberg than I have in the past, and actually that wasn't really what I was gunning for. If I look back all the way to the end of last year and the start of this year, I was in Zanzibar in Tanzania off the east coast of Africa, of all places. And as I'd be there taking in the beauty, sitting on a swing right by the Indian Ocean, I'd be thinking a lot about what's in store for 2019. And it's interesting how I've got all these expectations, and to some extent they're coming true, coming to fruition. But then to a large extent it's a matter of man plans, God laughs. Something that I've really been contemplating making this shift over to doing, which I was very much thinking about and planning about back in Zanzibar, is to be a little more Charlie Skelton than Luke Radowski in my Bilderberg coverage, if that makes sense to you. So I'm a journalist by trade, and I make my living writing, not recording reports and broadcasting. Now it's fun. I love this. It's a passion of mine to make these YouTube videos and to do video reporting on world events. And potentially in the future, this is going to be a money maker for me, although I'm not exactly betting on it. But nonetheless, I write as well. And I've been thinking, and back when I was in Zanzibar, I was planning on pitching me producing written reports about Bilderberg for major media, similar to what Charlie Skelton does. Maybe with a different style, given that I'm not Charlie. But I held off on making the pitches this year because Bilderberg was not announced till the very last minute, and due to finances and convenience or lack thereof, I was not planning on going if it was going to be in North America. Now maybe from here on out, Bilderberg, I will be going to Bilderberg, whether it's in Europe or North America, we'll see. Once again, man plans, God laughs, but despite all the chaos, despite getting tossed in a jail cell briefly at the airport, which I'll touch on a bit momentarily, despite all that, despite the expenses, Switzerland is so expensive. Oh, it is so expensive to stay in this place and to eat here, etc. I was eating supermarket chickens for the majority of the week. My budget is not very compatible with life in Montreux, Switzerland, let alone anywhere in Switzerland for that matter. But yeah, I'm thinking about trying to really commit to going to Bilderberg on a yearly basis, and I am thinking about shifting things up, and it really takes a team to cover Bilderberg. I don't know how I could possibly produce video reports and feature-length written stories all by myself, all in the span of 3 or 4 days. It's tough. I mean, it's tough enough just for me to produce video reports, as I'm doing right now, while simultaneously doing other work that gets me paid. I mean, I stayed up till 7 a.m. one night. Granted, I dozed off on the couch probably for an hour or two during that night, and I stayed up till 3 just about every other night, getting up pretty early, generally speaking, in the morning. It's a long, it's a long, tiresome week covering Bilderberg. So maybe I got to get my act together and assemble some sort of team. Who knows? I mean, it takes funds to do all this. But yeah, leave me a comment below if you're interested in, or you just like to weigh in on the matter of me focusing on written versus video material and written versus video reports about Bilderberg. I guess a lot of you probably aren't even familiar with my writing. I have my own blog. It's called freemanpost.com, and I've done some serious Bilderberg reporting on it in a couple of the years past. Broken a couple stories with regard to Bilderberg and long form written or long form written format, whatever. It's early. I'm still waking up here. And yeah, leave a comment below if you'd like to weigh in on seeing more written content out of me about Bilderberg, or maybe you just want me to forget that and you enjoy these videos and you want me to double down on that. I don't know. Leave a comment below if that interests you. With regard to the rest of the week, yeah, I talked in my first vlog quite a bit explaining the situation at the airport back on Thursday, in which I ended up in a jail cell and then was later joined in the next cell over by 4 of my fellow alternative media journalists and personalities. I guess what I didn't mention, what I left out, was that the police actually were pretty physical with me. No, I did mention that. So I guess I didn't mention that when I was initially brought into the cell, which for all I knew could have been solitary confinement for a matter of hours or days. I mean, I had no idea when they brought me in there and shut the door, but they shut the door after shoving me up against the wall, like arms and legs spread. And the officer who was in there was really feeling me up as I was spread against the wall, and I believe at least 1 or 2 of my fellow reporters, once they came in, because the door was ajar, they managed to see some of that. So yeah, the police did really get physical with me in that one instance. And there was a time Saturday night when we were out at the castle when one officer gave me a little shove, and there's video footage. It's kind of funny of me reacting and stumbling a little bit. But other than that, the police did not get physical with us this week. My impression from even the day before Bilderberg started held true. My impression back then was the police were very tame and professional and cordial compared to Bilderbergs of years past, and that really held true throughout the week. With the one airport incident being the exception, I got cut off briefly, and I hope you can still hear me over the lawnmower outside as I'm wrapping up here in this sauna, and I want to jump out of the hot tub briefly and go for a quick dip in the pool. But the police, for the most part, very calm, very cordial, very professional, and that was a very nice change of pace, particularly from last year. And it allowed us to do our jobs, and it kept the main storyline on the outside being the harassment of journalists, and that's something I've discussed in the past. That even though we can't get on the inside, and we don't know exactly what's going on, so it makes it very difficult to report on the conference. And as Charlie Skelton likes to put it, we're just getting fed breadcrumbs via press release and tiny statements and no comments we get out of participants. But yeah, despite all that, because there was not so much harassment of us this year, we got to focus on what was happening. Events like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who was not on the participants list, coming out with a giant motorcade and taking part in Bilderberg 2019 and having high-level meetings with Swiss officials, and likewise Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of President Trump, who was on the participants list, did come out, although we only saw him very briefly. Likewise, there are interesting storylines like AKK, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, the supposed heir apparent to Angela Merkel in Germany, who, well, might not be the next chancellor. We'll see. She was on the list, and then she was removed from the list. She disappeared mysteriously, and I discussed that with German journalist Max Bachmann, who was here and providing us some updates on the AKK situation throughout the week. There was a lot of talk this week about tech billionaires and social media. People were enjoying the confrontations with former Google boss Eric Schmidt. There was a lot of talk on the outside about how people were not talking when they would come out, but ultimately there were some participants who did open up. We got some good footage. I, for one, got 3.5 minutes in with Sonia Jost, who seems like a total Bilderberg newbie, but she was very friendly, very respectful. Seemed like she just wanted to pitch her green chemical engineering company and her green chemistry mission. But I had a nice discussion with her and some brief discussions with some other people. So to me, it was a very valuable week. I garnered a lot, but as I sit in this hot tub, I really need to process what did I garner and do I want to change things up next year. So I'll wrap it up now, but please leave a comment below. Tell me what you think of my coverage. I know it's not complete, but yeah, do you like the vlogs? A lot of people are commenting, yes, to the vlogs, more to the Bilderberg vlogs. Is that because you'd really like to get a sense of what it's like to be here on the outside of a Bilderberg conference? I know for years and years I wanted to go and I didn't have the funds or the accessibility. So I could understand your perspective if that's it. Maybe it's a different reason why you're interested in the blogs and you're interested in knowing what it's like to be on the outside of a Bilderberg conference. Yeah, please comment below what interests you about Bilderberg coverage, what interests you specifically about my Bilderberg coverage, and what, if anything, you would like to see different. And likewise, if you've got a point, as I've already harped on your interest in my coverage, focusing more on written or broadcast format, and for that matter, if you could help out at all with my coverage, please chime in with that as well. So enough for now from this vlog. Wow, this lawnmower guy, gardener, is being very courteous. He's shutting the window as he makes some noise with the leaf blower outside. Alright, that's a wrap from this hot tub in my hotel. I gotta check out of here. Au revoir from the Royal Plaza here in Montreux, Switzerland.